The clang of the gavel echoed through the grand chamber, silencing the murmurs of the gathered assembly. Elara stood before the High Council, her heart pounding in her chest. The leader, a figure draped in flowing silver robes, rose from his seat. "Elara, you are hereby declared inactive," he intoned, his voice cold and unyielding. "You are to be exiled immediately." Elara's breath caught in her throat. She had always known this day might come, but the reality struck harder than she had imagined. Her mind raced, trying to grasp the enormity of her situation. She glanced around, hoping for a flicker of empathy in the eyes of the council members, but found only stern, unyielding faces. 2 guards stepped forward, their heavy boots echoing in the silent hall. They flanked her, their grips firm but not unkind. As they escorted her out, Elara's gaze fell on the cityscape visible through the towering glass windows. The gleaming spires and bustling streets of Zera seemed to mock her with their vibrancy. Here, productivity was everything, and those who did not conform were cast out. Outside the city gates, the landscape shifted dramatically. The sleek, orderly architecture gave way to rugged, barren terrain. The outskirts of Zera were a harsh and unforgiving place, where only the resourceful survived. Elara stumbled over uneven ground, her hands still bound, as she was led to the edge of the settlement. Her captors released her with a final, dismissive shove. "Good luck," one of them muttered before turning back toward the city. Elara stood alone, the vast expanse of wilderness stretching out before her. She took a deep breath, the dry, dusty air filling her lungs, and set off in search of shelter. Hours later, exhausted and parched, Elara spotted a flicker of light in the distance. As she drew closer, she saw a cluster of makeshift structures nestled in a rocky outcrop. Her heart lifted. Perhaps she was not entirely alone. A figure emerged from one of the shelters, his silhouette sharp against the setting sun. "Welcome to the edge of the world," he called out, his voice carrying a note of wry amusement. "I'm Rylos." Elara approached cautiously. "I'm Elara," she replied, her voice hoarse. "I was exiled today." Rylos nodded, his expression sympathetic. "You're not the first. Come, we have water and food." Inside the shelter, the air was cooler. Another figure, a woman with kind eyes and gentle hands, offered Elara a cup of water. "I'm Kale," she introduced herself. "You'll be safe here." As Elara drank, she observed her surroundings. The shelter was a marvel of ingenuity, cobbled together from scraps and salvaged materials. Rylos's inventive spirit was evident in every corner, from the solar-powered lanterns to the intricate filtration system that provided clean water. Over the next few days, Elara began to adapt to her new life. She helped Kale tend to the garden, a small oasis of green in the arid landscape. In the evenings, she listened to Rylos's tales of his inventions and the challenges they faced. Slowly, she felt a sense of belonging begin to take root. But life on the outskirts was far from idyllic. One morning, as the group gathered for their meager breakfast, a rumble of machinery broke the silence. Elara's heart sank as she saw a squad of enforcers approaching, their intentions clear. "We need to secure the shelters and protect the supplies," Elara said, her voice steady despite her fear. "Everyone, follow me!" As they braced for the confrontation, Elara realized that her journey was only beginning. She had found a new purpose among the outcasts, and she would fight to protect it. The resilience of her newfound family, combined with her own creative spirit, would be the key to their survival. The tension in the air was palpable as the enforcers drew closer. Elara stood her ground, ready to defend the fragile hope they had built together. A deafening roar jolted Elara awake. She scrambled to her feet, her heart pounding. Outside, the sky was a turbulent mass of swirling clouds and flashing lights. The ground beneath her feet trembled as the squad of enforcers advanced, their heavy machinery cutting through the early morning silence. "Rylos! Kale! They're here!" Elara shouted, rushing out of her shelter. The sight of the enforcers, clad in dark armor and wielding advanced weaponry, sent a chill down her spine. Rylos and Kale emerged from their respective shelters, their faces set with determination. "We need to protect the enclave," Rylos said, his voice firm. We've worked too hard to let them take it from us. The three of them quickly gathered the others, a small group of exiles who had found refuge and purpose in this desolate place. As they formed a defensive line, Elara couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Despite their outcast status, they had become a family, bound by their resilience and creativity. The leader of the enforcers stepped forward, his voice amplified by a mechanical device. By order of the High Council, you are to cease all activities and return to the city for reassignment. Elara stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. We will not go back, she declared. We have built something here, something valuable. We will not let you destroy it. The leader sneered. You think you can defy the council? You are nothing but outcasts, parasites leeching off our resources. Anger flared within Elara. We are innovators, she shot back. We have found ways to survive and thrive in this harsh environment. Your city could learn from us. A tense silence followed, broken only by the hum of the enforcers' machinery. Then, without warning, the enforcers advanced. The exiles braced themselves, ready to defend their home. As the first clash began, Rylos's inventions sprang to life. Small, agile drones buzzed through the air, disorienting the enforcers with bursts of light and sound. Kale directed the group, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos around them. Elara found herself in the thick of the fight, using her agility and quick thinking to outmaneuver the heavily armed enforcers. Despite their superior technology, the enforcers struggled against the exiles' ingenuity and determination. After what felt like hours, the enforcers began to retreat, their leader barking orders for a tactical withdrawal. As the dust settled, the exiles stood victorious, though battered and bruised. Rylos wiped sweat from his brow, a triumphant grin on his face. We did it, he said, his voice filled with awe. We actually did it. Kale nodded, her expression serious. This isn't over. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. We need to be prepared. Elara looked around at her fellow exiles, their faces a mixture of relief and determination. We'll be ready, she vowed. We've proven we can stand up to them. Now we need to show them we're here to stay. In the days that followed, the exiles worked tirelessly to fortify their enclave. Rylos and Elara collaborated on new defenses, combining their skills to create ingenious traps and barriers. Kale organized the community, ensuring everyone had a role to play. The attack had brought them closer together, solidifying their resolve. Elara felt a deep sense of purpose, her confidence growing with each passing day. She had found her place among the outcasts, and together, they were building a future worth fighting for. As the sun set on another day, Elara stood at the edge of the enclave, looking out over the rugged landscape. The challenges ahead were daunting, but she knew they had the strength and ingenuity to overcome them. United and determined, the exiles of Zera would forge their own destiny. A blinding flash of light split the sky, followed by a thunderous boom that shook the ground beneath Elara's feet. She shielded her eyes, heart racing as she looked up. A massive storm was rolling in, its ominous clouds crackling with energy. Everyone, get inside! Kale shouted over the rising wind. The exiles scrambled, seeking shelter in the sturdy structures they had built. Elara hurried to help Rylos secure his workshop, the wind howling through the cracks. We've never seen a storm like this, Rylos muttered, his brow furrowed with concern. This could destroy everything. Elara nodded, her mind racing. We need to protect the water supply and the food stores. If we lose those, we won't survive. As they worked frantically, the storm descended upon the enclave with a ferocity they had never experienced. The wind tore at their shelters, and rain lashed down in torrents. Elara fought to secure the last of the supplies, her muscles straining against the elements. Hours later, the storm finally abated, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. The exiles emerged, surveying the damage with weary eyes. Shelters had been ripped apart, and their carefully cultivated garden was in ruins. Rylos sighed, his shoulders slumping. This is a disaster. Elara placed a hand on his arm, her touch firm and reassuring. We'll rebuild. We've done it before, and we can do it again. As they began the arduous task of repairing their home, a new challenge emerged. The storm had unearthed a hidden cave at the edge of their territory. Intrigued, Elara and Rylos ventured inside, discovering a vast underground chamber filled with glowing crystals. These crystals, Rylos said, his voice awed. They're a powerful energy source. We could use them to power our defenses, maybe even improve our living conditions. Excitement surged through Elara. This could change everything. But we need to be careful. If the Council finds out about this, they'll try to take it from us. Back at the enclave, Elara gathered the others. We've found something incredible, she announced. These crystals can give us the power we need to strengthen our defenses and improve our lives. But we must keep this a secret from the Council. The group agreed, their spirits lifted by the discovery. They worked tirelessly, integrating the crystals into their systems. The enclave began to transform, becoming more resilient and self-sufficient. However, their progress did not go unnoticed. A spy within their ranks reported back to the Council, and soon, a larger force of enforcers was dispatched to seize control of the enclave. One night, as the exiles gathered for a rare moment of rest, Elara's instincts told her something was amiss. She stepped outside, her eyes scanning the horizon. The sight of approaching lights confirmed her fears. They're coming, she whispered, her voice tense with urgency. Everyone, prepare for battle. The exiles sprang into action, their movements swift and coordinated. As the enforcers arrived, they were met with a fierce resistance. The crystal's energy powered their defenses, creating barriers and traps that confounded the attackers. In the midst of the chaos, Elara found herself face to face with the enforcer leader. You cannot win, he sneered, drawing his weapon. Elara's eyes blazed with determination. We will not be subjugated. This is our home, and we will defend it. The battle raged on, the Enclave's newfound power turning the tide in their favor. The enforcers, overwhelmed and outmatched, were forced to retreat, their leader vowing to return with greater force. As the dust settled, Elara looked around at her fellow exiles. They were battered but unbroken, their resolve stronger than ever. The discovery of the crystals had given them hope and power, but it had also painted a target on their backs. We've shown them our strength, Elara said, her voice carrying a mix of pride and caution. But this is just the beginning. We must stay vigilant and protect what we've built. The exiles nodded, their faces set with determination. Together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by their shared vision of a future free from the tyranny of the Council. A piercing siren shattered the stillness of the night, jolting Elara awake. She bolted upright, her heart thundering as the warning lights flashed. The enforcers were back, and this time they brought an army. Everyone, to your stations! Rylos's voice rang out, urgent and clear. Elara grabbed her makeshift weapon, her mind racing through their plans. The crystals had given them power, but they were still outnumbered. She dashed outside, joining the others at the perimeter. The sight of the enforcer battalion approaching, their ranks bristling with weapons and armored vehicles, was terrifying. But Elara felt a steely resolve settle over her. They had fought too hard to give up now. Kale was already coordinating the defense, her calm demeanor a beacon amidst the chaos. Stick to the plan, she instructed. Remember, our strength lies in our unity and ingenuity. Elara nodded, her grip tightening on her weapon. As the enforcers advanced, Rylos activated the first of their traps. A series of explosions rocked the ground, sending debris flying and creating barriers that slowed the enemy's progress. The exiles fought with everything they had. Drones buzzed through the air, disrupting communications and creating confusion among the enforcers. Hidden pitfalls and energy barriers powered by the crystals added to the chaos. Elara found herself in the thick of the battle, her movements swift and precise. She ducked and weaved, striking at vulnerable points and evading counterattacks. Around her, the exiles displayed the same fierce determination, their coordinated efforts holding the line. Despite their efforts, the enforcers' sheer numbers began to overwhelm them. Elara saw Rylos fall, struck by a powerful blast. Rage and grief surged through her, fueling her resolve. She fought her way to his side, her eyes burning with unshed tears. "Rilo, stay with me," she pleaded, pressing her hand to his wound. He coughed, a pained smile crossing his face. "Don't worry about me. Protect the enclave. Protect our future." Elara's heart clenched, but she nodded, determination hardening her features. She stood, her voice ringing out over the battlefield. "We will not be defeated! This is our home, and we will defend it to the last breath." The exiles rallied around her, their spirits unbroken. They fought with renewed vigor, pushing back against the enforcers. The tide began to turn, the enemy's advance faltering in the face of their unwavering defiance. As dawn broke, the enforcers finally retreated, their forces decimated. The exiles stood victorious, though the cost had been high. Elara knelt beside Rylos, her tears falling freely now. "We did it," she whispered. "We protected our home." Kale joined her, her expression a mixture of grief and pride. "He believed in you, in all of us. We've shown the Council that we're more than just outcasts." In the days that followed, the exiles rebuilt once more. They honored their fallen, their resolve strengthened by the sacrifices made. Elara emerged as their leader, her vision guiding them towards a brighter future. The Council, recognizing their resilience and resourcefulness, offered a tentative alliance. Elara met with their representatives, her demeanor calm but resolute. "We will not be controlled," she stated. "We will work with you, but as equals." The council leader nodded, a grudging respect in his eyes. "Agreed. Your enclave has proven its worth. Together, we can achieve greatness." As the agreement was forged, Elara felt a sense of accomplishment. They had not only survived but thrived, transforming their status from outcasts to pioneers. The crystals, once a symbol of their hidden potential, now powered a new era of cooperation and innovation. Standing at the edge of the enclave, Elara looked out over the rugged landscape. The challenges ahead were still daunting, but they were ready. United and determined, they would face whatever came their way, forging their own destiny in the harsh world of Zera.